Welcome to this tutorial on the advanced editing features of FLIR Thermal Studio. I'm Paul Frisk with the Infrared Training Center, here to help you get the most out of your reporting software. Now, Thermal Studio offers an array of features that allow you to process your infrared images, track trends in your thermal data, and create comprehensive reports. In this module, we will discuss the process of creating, editing, and uploading text comment files to a camera. We'll also cover the customization of the graphics overlay on the image that are saved after they've been processed using the image editor or a batch modification. Text annotations are extremely useful in creating systematic and consistent documentation of an anomaly and/or details of the scanned asset, providing the professionalism discussed in the introduction module of this series of videos. Text annotations can be configured as tables and used within the Thermal Studio program, or exported to an infrared camera for field data entry. Here we have the sample report that was created in the previous module using one of the distributed templates. As we scroll through the pages, we can see where the text annotation information would be deposited onto the analysis page. Currently, there is no information because none of the images have been stored with any data. Text annotation can be easily added to an image and then subsequently have it populate in a report by using the Thermal Studio image editor. Launching the editor, we will then go to the text annotation tab, as we see here on the right. We can then add one line of annotation at a time. So, for instance, in the key or label, we're going to call location and then suggest that maybe this is the 3rd floor. We'll add one more line and let's type in equipment and call this a fuse panel. The data is free format. You type in whatever you want for the label and subsequently anything you want for the values and add as many lines as you want. Once you're satisfied with the information, obviously save the image data and then go back to the report, and we see that it has been populated in the report. A more convenient way to add text comments to a series of images is to use a text annotation template or table. To create the table, we will launch the image editor again, go to the text annotation tab, but this time selecting the 3 dots. So we're going to import a template. I already have one template created on my computer, but let's create a new one. So we will give it a name. Let's call it sample template, for instance. And now what we will do is fill in the fields and the values. The fields will be the labels that we talked about previously, and the fields will actually be what gets populated in the report as well. So under a field, we might say city. We might be scanning at different cities. So we can create a list of cities. So for instance, New York. Let's add Toronto, and add one more, say Boston sounds like a good example. Another field would be, for instance, a building. Which building was the scan conducted in a particular city? As you can see, we're creating a bit of a tree structure here. So maybe we're at the police station doing a scan, or at the library. You can keep adding and adding values to any particular field. Let's add one more field and let's call it location. And location, we can have a list of the electrical room, maybe the pump room, and so on and so forth. Once we're satisfied with all the information, we can save it. Before returning back to the report, let's select the sample template. I have my camera connected to my computer. I can now export this template to my camera by hitting the export icon, looking for my camera right here, and there is a text table folder. Let's just show you that one. And inside that, as you can see, I already have the electrical list, but now I am going to export the sample template to that camera. Returning back to my image, again, I'm still in the text annotation tab, so the three dots, but this time I'm going to create my list from a template I just created. Having multiple templates on my computer allows me to select which one I want to use. Just for the heck of it, let's go to the electrical test. Location, I might have been in the electrical closet. What am I looking at? I'm looking at a control panel. Possible cause, high resistant connection, for instance. What might be the correction? Let's say replace fuse, and what's the maximum load on the system? Say it's 120 amps. Save it, or say, okay, pardon me, save it to the image. Now when we return back to the report, we can see everything that was listed in that. We can go back and change it if we need to. Again, the best place to do that is back in the image editor, and then go to the text annotation. We can add or say made a mistake and it's only 50 amps. So do a save, return, and now show 50 amps. Do not try to make the change here because it will not be updated in a subsequent view of the report, or if there are other items that we'll talk about in the template design that are connected to the text annotation, they won't get updated because they are extracted from the contents of the image. Graphics Overlay displays selected information about the image and/or measurement tools. This feature is very useful when importing an image into other non-FLIR programs such as Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint. Returning back to Thermal Studio, we can alter the graphics information, which has resulted from three different processes within the software. One is after an image has been edited using the library image editor. Two is when images have been processed using the batch system. And three, images that are displayed in a report. To alter the first two, select the Settings cog and the Image Overlay option. I'm just going to make this screen a little bit larger so it'll be easier to see the result. This sample image is dynamic. What I mean by that, as we make changes in the list, it will display those changes for us dynamically on the image. Let me put the scale back in. For instance, let me show the emissivity. One of the more dramatic options would be if we look at the logo. I've turned it off. I can turn it back on, but I can now replace the FLIR logo with a custom logo. For instance, in this case, I'm going to replace it with the Infrared Training Center's new logo by simply browsing, and I've done this before, so we save it here. Let's see the result of that process. If we select an image and make a simple change, say add a spot meter, now save it, and then exit, we can just barely see the changes that have been made to that image. If we return back to Word and import the new image, the updated image, we should see the changes that were just made. So there it is there. Insert this image, and as we can see that we've replaced the FLIR logo with the Infrared Training Center logo, and we've added emissivity. We would have the exact same process result if we did this for a batch process of images. I'm not going to bother saving this. To update the overlay information on the infrared image within the report, select the Overlay button and then select what you would like to have displayed. You may want to show the emissivity as an example. You may want to have the logo enabled. Right now, it'll be the FLIR logo, but again, since I pointed to the Infrared Training Center logo earlier, it'll pick that up and then say OK, and there it's displayed. This is going to be on an image-by-image basis once the report's been generated. In a future module, we're going to discuss how to make that change globally when we talk about designing templates. Thank you.